when I did my when I was trying to make a outer space track, I had made this huge ball in Blender. I used like 8K texture and uh, basically I just texture mapped the inside of the ball and removed the fog. So if you're gonna make something like that, you need to tell your view. I just changed the view to like 100,000 up here. Because when you scale out, you know, you can see farther. So I'm gonna import in a car from the game here. I tell you, this thing loads so slow. I could just have imported it in from up here and been quicker. All right, so that's the car from a game. So now I have to figure out like how big to make this ball. So let's make it large. Let's add a mesh sphere and scale it. But try not. Yeah, I did. Like it looks funny when you start scaling stuff really large. It looks weird. I don't know how large you would need this to be, but what we'll do now is object shade smooth. Give it a texture, just a white. Let's call it white ball. Light. I don't know. I don't think. Now, if you wanted to collide with it, you'd have to flip the normals. I'm not sure. I think I had to make a. I had a problem with the collision on something this large. I remember. Like, I never wanted to collide right, or it went through it often. But I'm just going to do it like this. I'm going to go, since we're going to be on the inside, go to edit mode. Hit A to select all, mesh, normals, flip, so that they're on the inside. Object mode, object, set origin to 3D cursor, object, apply all transforms. Now I'll apply the normals too, I believe. Now since we're not going to use this thing as a collision mesh or anything like that, I'm just going to use it just as just a white ball. I'm going to export it to the desktop. As a DAE in a folder. White ball. White ball.dae. Alright, now I'm going to my desktop. I got a mod folder here with this mod. Let me unpack it. I like this texture for this because it's very simple. Alright, I'm going to reuse that main materials file. Alright, where'd that folder go? I just made it. Oh, dog, I don't see it. I must be blind because I don't see that folder. Well, I thought I made it on the desktop. Where did I send that? Oh, the documents. Well, it's going on the desktop now. Come on now. There it is. Alright, so I'll paste this in here and I'll edit it. I'll just change this to white ball. You either have to make the material in here or you have to make it in the game, but if you make it in the game, you got to make it before you import in your object or it'll be red. I prefer to do it this way, but I could see this being more confusing. Alright, now we got our texture, which has actually no texture. Save. Now we can just copy this folder and just stick it in the level that we want to put it in. So let's see, let's do grid map. Small grid, I mean. And then art folder, and I put it in its own folder. See, since there's already a materials file in here, you know, this has its own materials file. And main.materials.jsons, if you do got a texture map, you don't ever put the location of it. You just put the name of it. Let's load the level. I gotta make sure I turn my volume down on the mic so it doesn't pick up the game audio. Alright. Now it takes a little fiddling to get it like you want it, because you remember you got the fog too. The fog is like blue, like a light blue. I go to the Sunsky to change all that. But you may not have a Sunsky in your scene tree, but let's hit F11. Let's go to a File, Asset Browser. Let's get that white box, which will be in the Art folder where I'll put it. We'll drag it into the game. And as you can see, I don't see anything. That is the problem with very large things. Well, for one thing, it's not double-sided. The material's not. So I'm going to do that now. Advanced. Oh, it is too double-sided. Well, poo. I don't see it. Make it red, make it easier to see. I still don't see it. I don't know, maybe I made that ball too big. There it is. Okay. Alright. That's why I made it red, so we could see it. But you see, there's a problem. You can't see very far, so what you got to do is go into your scene tree and type info, level info, and in the inspector change this visible distance to something like 100,000. And now you are inside of a white ball, basically. Which that's about as good as it's going to get. You can mess with the Sunsky and mess with the fog, change the fog. See the horizon there, make that white. Let's see. That's just the sun and the elevation and where it's at, and you know, relation to where the world is. But where's the fog? It's also where you can change your shadow distance if you want to see farther. See shadows farther away. Fog scale. Alright, save. Let me see if it's TOD, time of day, that's in there. No, it's not in there. Where was that damn thing at? there's one, it's in the info, I think. It's in the info. It's the fog density and the offset, which I believe it's negative is in the positive and positive is in the negative, or it could be opposite. It's atmospheric height. There we go. Alright. Well, that looks like that got us a white sky with no clouds. But you understand we're technically inside of a ball, which underneath the ground plane, like if I delete the ground plane, it's going to be weird. That's just the way the game, the world does its world rendering or whatnot. I don't know that there's any way to really do anything about that. Which that worked great when I did a outer space thing because I saw black. But I still, to get rid of this, I had to, when I did my ground plane, had to make it black. Which this has got a grid on it. The terrain. Ground plane. And the inspector. There's your material. Blank white. So now you have a perfect white, well, pretty close to perfect white. There's going to be a little haze or a little shadow, you know, something off into the background. Not going to be perfect unless you go into the material, change that white ball to be self-illuminating. Lighting, emissive, glow. No, that didn't make much difference. But that's the only two things I could think that might could help that. But that might be about as close as you can get there. So I'll zip this up. And just remember, if you go outside of the ball, which I made this pretty large, if you go outside, it's going to look kind of weird. Like you can see, like the kind of like see it there. But I'll just zip this up like it is, and I guess I'll take some screenshots of what I set in the Sunsky, the info, and the include those like in the zip file.